What about you? What was the gayest thing you did growing up? Besides exist.
Right. Besides being me. Welcome back to JK But Gay. We're here. We are going to be talking about growing up. And for us, that really means, from infancy, from our very first memory all the way through.
You had memories as an infant?
I mean, no.
Just giving you a hard time. Sorry.
I mean, some people do. No. Maybe. But from the first memory.
Yeah.
Up until like 10-ish, I guess, like elementary school. Because I know like we can go into middle school. That's a whole episode itself. Mm-hmm. High school also, college.
Yep.
A whole episode. But
puberty needs its own episode. I just thought about that.
Oh.
We'll talk about puberty next season. But
yes. Stick around.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what this episode is going to be. So thank you for everybody for joining. Yes. But Kendra, I want to start off really quickly and just going for it. Like, what was probably the gayest thing that you did growing up, looking back now?
Looking back, it's like, what was the gayest thing that I didn't do? Like growing up, because I think I talked about this in I talked about it in the last episode, how I used to like sing Selena and like have performances. Yeah. My mom had a camera and she would like point the camera at me and I'd make all my family sit down so that I could like, and I would make them put their hands up so that I could go and like put their hands and like I would put a towel on my head. It was a full fantasy. Who
was the horses in the carriage?
Oh no, I didn't do that scene. No, because that was at the very end.
Oh, that's right.
Remember? Yes. So that was she was still alive when I became like the real fan. So those were the days. Those were the days I used to like love it. So that was probably the gayest thing. I used to play Hocus Pocus a lot with my like friends on like the thing, because I was always Sarah.
Like literal Hocus Pocus.
Literal
Hocus
Pocus. Okay. Yeah. Like my grandma. Okay, this is probably my grandma on her deathbed in 97. I sang the Come Little Children song to her, like on her deathbed. My mom was like, sing to her. Like she loves when you sing that song.
Naturally, that one came up in your head.
And no, my mom knew that was the song I knew. She knew that was my moment.
Wait, how old were you?
I was 5.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought it was much more recent.
No.
Okay.
You thought that I, as a grown-ass man, was singing a Hocus Pocus song.
That's why I was so shook.
To my grandmother on her deathbed. Yeah. No. It was when I was 5 and my grandma was like, she was in a coma, and my mom was like, sing to her, and that was the song I sang. And now looking back, I'm like, everybody was crying and emotional, and I'm singing, "Come little children." Like that was a full-on thing, right? I'm still my little bruja vibes, but anyway. What about you? What was the gayest thing you did growing up? Besides exist,
right? Besides being me, for me it was definitely. Oh, there's like 2 things that are coming to my mind right now. The first one definitely would be like playing with Barbies. Doing their hair. Like I was definitely that little boy with my girl cousins.
Yeah.
So my cousins, I have a pretty good, pretty big family.
Same.
But my cousins, like the ones literally in my age range, all girls, except for one other guy.
Got it.
He's also gay.
There we go. That happened.
But it's like, so growing up, it was, and I talked about that last time too, I think, when I was like singing Selena with my cousins, like it was them, like they were always there, and they had they were girls, obviously. They had their Barbies, and I would always play with them, and I would like braid their hair. Yeah. I learned to braid hair on Barbies, and then like French braid also, like.
Wow.
I
don't know the difference. One's in the scalp, right?
Yes.
Not in the scalp, but it's like in the hair. Braiding somebody's scalp.
Right. But that was one of them. And then the other one was in my room. I would get like a compression shirt, so like an Under Armour shirt. I don't know if I can say that, but I would get one of the really tight.
We're not that big yet.
Right.
Eventually,
maybe in a couple of years when we look back, we'll like edit this part out.
We have to edit that out because our sponsors won't allow us. Nike won't let us talk about Under Armour. But go on.
We're gonna bleep it out next time.
Right.
Yeah. So growing up, I would literally put that on my head as a hairpiece. Like that was my head. I used compression shirts because it would actually stick and hold on to like I could put it on and it wouldn't go anywhere.
Oh, like and the towel, I had to like tie it down.
Oh no!
See, you had the tricks. You were a crafty queen,
right? The glue. I was like,
dang,
she ain't going nowhere. And when I was growing up, my first house, it was a smaller closet, and then when we moved to my second house, where my parents live now, I had a closing door closet, so it was a much bigger closet. But like,
bitch,
girl,
it was a moment.
I would open it, and it would be Soldier, Destiny Child.
Wait, we were older already.
I was in 5th grade at this point, I will say.
Okay,
I was like the verge of
that's older than 10, but we're okay. We're getting there.
I was. No,
5th grade older than 10.
Was I sick?
You turned 15. I mean 10 in 5th grade usually.
Maybe, yeah. Well, I'm a summer baby, so
yeah,
that's probably why.
Sorry,
I'm the young baby. I'm the baby of the group. But like it would, no matter what, I would be in the closet, and then I would like open it, and then I would be like.
The imagery and all of that right now. I was in a closet. I had a moment.
Girl, I don't even know what I was using for a microphone, but I had a microphone. I was Beyonce.
Wow.
I was those two are the memories that came to my mind as far as like the gayest.
What kind of kid were you growing up though? Were you like outgoing? Were you like, are you you have the same personality that you have right now?
No. Oh. I was very shy. I kid you not. If I find it, maybe we'll put it on here.
You're still kind of shy.
I am very shy in general.
Yeah.
I just think like for me, I'm an extroverted introvert.
No,
like naturally I'm introverted. So whatever goes first.
You're an extroverted introvert.
Yeah.
In English, the adjective goes first.
I'm still learning, y'all. We're in our growing up phase.
In Spanish, you would switch it. But so and so I'm the opposite. I'm an introverted extrovert.
Oh God. Like I was so shy, I would literally let people sit on me and like not say anything. I kid you not. There is a video out there. There is a video, and I need to find it. I need to see who in my family has it. But there is a video of my tia I'm literally sitting on the couch. It was Christmas, and I was sitting on the couch ready to open my presents, and then my tia she was helping her. I'm assuming my cousins or whomever, but like she sits down like on me, and I'm just there like
she didn't feel that
in the corner like
whole baby Jake under me.
I guess not. Everybody laughs at it still to this day. And I was also another part of who I was as a kid was I was the one that would like tattletale.
Oh, you were that kid.
Everybody, and even to this day, my madrina and like my mom will be like, "Who did it?"
Right.
And now I know better.
Right.
But like back then, I'll be like, "It was him. It was him."
Why were you scared? Like
I think I was.
The punishment.
I think I was. Like I will never forget my brother and my other cousins. They're all guys, and they were playing in one of my tia's room. No, my madrina's room, and they broke a window.
Oh. And
I was there. Oh. And so naturally,
they look at you, they're like,
asked
damn.
Me. Literally, all my cousins were like, fuck. Like, the one that did it was like, damn.
Yeah.
I can't even get out of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sorry.
Oh, that's so interesting.
But what about you?
What kind of kid was I?
Yeah, what kind of kid were you?
You know, for me, I was always an extroverted kid. Like, and then when I was growing up, like before the age of 5, like I was a cute kid. Like I was a really cute kid. So people would always, when I see them, be like, "Oh my God, you're so cute!" Like I remember those are some of my like earliest memories. People telling me like, "Oh my God, you look so cute."
What happened?
So I think that blew my head up a little bit, and so like I just like loved being. I just had a lot of main character energy. So,
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah. You still hold it.
Yeah. I think, but then it was kind of just like it was just me. I was main character in like a house of one. So like my siblings are much older than me, so it's like that's just the way that it was. So it was an interesting, but when did you first start to feel different when you were growing up, or did you know that you were different?
I don't think I necessarily put my finger on it early on. I want to say it was much later. Honestly, probably like when you start looking at porn is when I finally realized I was like, huh, like something's weird. But early on, like, and I'm very, I want to almost say privileged, and I don't know if this is a privilege or not. I think it is, but like being able to really play with Barbies and with my cousins and like mind you, no one knew about the whole singing with my headpiece on. Like I don't even like I would do it with my door closed. Like music was lowish, so like that was by myself.
Yeah, they're like he's listening to Soldier because he loves T.I.
Exactly.
Lil Wayne he's on a Lil Wayne kick right now.
Exactly. It wasn't Destiny's Child. But so I think early on, like those moments, I I'm happy to say like I didn't necessarily feel different because my cousins did make me feel like completely fine and feel open to it. But looking back, I'm like, yeah, I think like that was probably it already. Like the signs were there, or like it was. I probably should have not probably. I'm glad I didn't recognize it early on, but that was it. But what about for you? Like, when did you start to feel different? Especially, and I want to kind of dive into it also with your environment being from like West Texas.
That's exactly how I was going to start. And I think being from West Texas, I was, like I mentioned before, I'm from a really conservative part of the state. Really a conservative part of the country, actually. And when you think about like where I'm from, homophobia is everywhere. Like there is like, maybe, I'm sure it's different now, but I remember growing up, there was like 1 or 2 gay people in the entire town. There were obviously more.
Oh yeah.
But like open and like, and it's not necessarily open. It's their personalities were they were more feminine, and so they could not hide it. They didn't have a choice to kind of hide it if they want. So they kind of embraced themselves, and I loved them for that. At the time, I didn't. I was sort of terrified, but so there was like 1 or 2 people, and so everybody would make fun of them. They were the butt of everybody's jokes, and like always, like everybody had a joke for them, and so I knew I was gay the first time I understood what the word meant. So like really early on, like I knew very early on. And I think, for me, it was about like figuring out like how to hide that. A lot of my growing up was like, how do I hide who I am?
Like suppressing.
Right. Very early on. Very
like
early
elementary and everything? Or just like it?
No, I remember, I think it's a really evolves more, which we can talk about it in the next segment about like my relationship with the church. And I think that's probably where it came out. So
got it. Yeah, I think also something that I randomly just thought about too was like in school. Like, I don't know were you ever bullied like in elementary?
I wasn't bullied until it was past elementary school. It was probably, I would say I definitely started being bullied like in middle school.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. That was when it more happened. But now that I'm thinking about it, like, I don't think it was necessarily bullying, but like people would kind of address, or they would talk about like the way I walked and like how my hips would move. And I was like, I'm in 3rd grade. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I guess that's also another moment where I was like, I'm a little different, but it's okay.
So let's get into it. We'll get into it in just a second and figure out what else it was like growing up like us.
We will.
Before we jump back in, do us a quick favor. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that like button, whether you're watching or listening. It might seem small, but every like and subscription helps us get this show in front of more people and keeps us going week after week. We can't grow without you, so thank you for the support. And we're back. So thinking about growing up in general, what expectations did your parents have of you?
Oh, I have 2 vastly different experiences, one from my mom and one from my dad. I think from my mom was definitely the one that was like, you need to bring home A's, you need to be perfect, you don't cry outside of home, like even then you don't cry type of deal. So she was definitely like the very type A personality, where that's where I am now. That's why I'm the way I am now.
Yeah.
But and that, I feel like that's a whole segment in of itself, of like that hard. I appreciate it, looking back on it, but at some points I was like, I wish I could have just like brought a B home. Yeah, because I remember when I first got a B in college, I cried.
It wasn't until college.
It wasn't until college. I never got a B. Wow. And I got a B in college, and I cried in the fucking library.
Wow.
We'll get there.
JPL. What's the name?
PCL.
Oh, never mind. Sorry. Go on.
PCL. But like I had that high expectation, that high standard of like from the poise to like being a good kid. Like, you can't get in trouble. You need to always be on, per se, from my mom, which has given me some really good qualities for sure. Yeah. And then my dad's side, like my dad was definitely more of the lax one, which may be very counteractive as like far as I like the Latino culture. Right. My dad was super lax. Like he was definitely the one that was like, what do you want? Right. Like, and then he would give it to me. Right. And then also with my dad, he was super religious. And And that's another story of itself. Like, it wasn't bad. It was absolutely something that I really admired. So I grew up in the church also, and that's where I kind of understood, or I got to learn my faith specifically as a child. Which kind of growing up as a queer kid, later on you're like, maybe not. But my dad definitely brought the softer side out of me, and that's where I get my more emotional side. Once I break through the wall I built for my mom. But what about you for your expectations?
Similar, very different expectations. They aligned with the part with like, you better be doing what you need to be doing in school. Yes. It wasn't necessarily, I think I was harder on myself when it came to like the A's or anything, because my brothers weren't sort of A students, but I was. My mom was harder on me because she would always say like, later on I realized that it was the ADHD. Like, she's like, you're procrastinating. You're not putting the effort that you need to. I know you. I mean, she knew her son. She's like, I know that you're not doing what you're supposed to do or delivering the way that you should be.
Yeah.
So there was always that. But my dad was always really intentional. I think my dad had a rough childhood. So my dad was really intentional about like, let kids be kids. Like, he was always very much like, you're a kid, enjoy it. Like, let kids do kid things and let them just like, eventually he was always telling me like, stop rushing to grow up, because I just wanted I wanted to get out. I don't know what I wanted to get out of, but I just wanted to get out. And my dad was always just like, just like, take your time. Eventually you're going to be there. And now looking back, I'm like, I'm there. And I wish I would have appreciated, not that I didn't appreciate it, but it was just a really interesting time. But no, it was both of my parents like sort of approached it differently, but both of them had values. My mom is very much like, not so much anymore, but when I was younger, about like making sure that your outward appearance is like everything. And so still to this day, there are certain things, you and I have talked about this, how there's like certain things where I'm like, man, I'm still stuck on that phase. And I don't think that our parents did it intentionally, but sometimes it has those things that has like lasting effects for both of us. So
I go to therapy now.
Right. And you're like, we're in therapy now to fix that. But yeah, when you were younger, I mean, there was so many spaces. You talk about the church and you talk about like, did you have a safe space or a space where you felt like most comfortable?
I honestly, I don't think I did. I mean, when I was with my cousins, I did feel safe to be myself more.
Yeah.
Although there was that, there was a reason why I did the hair thing in my own room, behind closed doors, and like no one else saw. If I heard someone walking towards the door, I would take it off and jump in bed. Like, that was very much the way it was growing up. But I would say, like, looking back, my cousins absolutely gave me a safe space, and they do today still.
Yeah.
But like, it was never, and even growing up, they never like questioned it, or they're never like, why are you playing with Barbies? You're a boy.
Right.
Like, they were just like, okay,
right.
Jake is going to go with the girls. They're going to play with their Barbies, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But what about you? Did you have a very similar experience, or?
It was always in pockets, right? Like when I was with my family, I felt safe. When I was with my certain people, my extended family, I felt safe. When I was with my friends, I was one of those kids that was always outside. Like, I was always outside.
Okay.
And so I had neighborhood friends who, like, we grew up together, and they were like my safe space too. Like, we would play Bring It On. We would play Hocus Pocus, like I mentioned before. Like, I
want to hear this Bring It On. Like, y'all would cheer?
Oh yeah, like I knew, like growing up, I knew like every like cheer from that. Well, no, from my high school. Like, I knew all of the. My brother was playing, and so I would be like in the stands, like doing the routines while like people were there.
Go on.
And no one would tell me anything. I mean, I loved it. I loved it. No one would say anything. My parents were just like, he's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was so my safe space. It was. But I also never felt like I could truly be myself, but I never tried to, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I never fully let go and I think that's more of a safety thing. I think that's a safety thing. We're trying to say like, okay, let's make sure that we're safe, that we don't have to deal with that, that we're not dealing with the repercussions of truly being ourselves.
Right.
So I think that's probably what it was. So that I had safe spaces, but where I felt really, really comfortable and where I could fully let go wasn't until I was much older, when I created that space myself.
Yeah. Which I think a lot of people tend to do that, especially from within the gay community, and a lot of different communities too, of like, where do you feel safe most? And it's like, I make it myself because no one else is going to give it to me, or nowhere else. nowhere else, no one else. But yeah.
So one of my favorite parts about watching RuPaul and watching each season is at the very end when they bring up the baby pictures or the pictures of when they're younger and say like, what would you tell your younger self? So we wanted to bring that to the runway. We wanted to bring that to the show, and we have pictures of us down here that we're seeing as well of 5-year-old Kendrick and 5-year-old Jake. But Jake, what would you tell your 5-year-old self if you could?
What would there would be so much, but the biggest thing, and I think this is going to sound cliche, and I think it's okay because I think we have a lot of lived experience, similar lived experiences. Mm-hmm. Be yourself. Like, honestly, like you being yourself is not going to hinder you from anything that you want, anything that you want to be, anything that you need. Like, being yourself is just who you are, and hold on to that. Yeah. Like, don't worry about the image. That's also another thing. But yeah, like just be yourself. Don't worry about playing with your Barbies, and maybe even ask for a Barbie. Like, I never did that, but ask your parents to buy you a Barbie. I'm sure they will, actually. But yeah, I would say that. And I would also say, like, go to church more with your dad. That as for all of our listeners and those watching, like, I did lose my dad 4 years ago. It was the hardest time of my life. And I would absolutely say, like, go to church more with him, hug him more, be there with him as much as you can, whether you move or wherever. But that's what I would tell myself.
Yes. But for me, if I could look at my 5-year-old self, I would just say, like, first of all, looking at this picture that you are seeing right now, like, you would think my mom said she had no idea I was gay, but that kid clearly has everything it takes to be the biggest homosexual there is. And so I love that. I love that picture of me because it really is just me being myself. And what you don't know is that's actually in a church.
It looks like it.
Yeah, it's at
like a pew.
It's at the altar. Yeah.
Okay.
It's at the altar of the church, so you can tell we're Catholics. Yeah. But yeah, it's at the very front of the church, and it was at a wedding, and I was the ring bearer. And yeah, so I was putting a ring on it very early on. It was what I was doing. But no, I would tell my 5-year-old self to just that it's going to be okay. I think I had anxiety about being gay really early on. Like, I was really young when I was like, you either have to hide this, never tell anybody about it, and just this is going to be who you are, and your life is going to revolve around hiding it. And then we'll talk about that more when we talk about our teenage and later years, because those have a lot of details about the things I used to do to hide it. But yeah, I would just tell my love yourself. I never really had problems loving myself because I focused in on the things that weren't me being gay, but then that part I kind of left out. So yeah, so that's what I would tell myself. But I know.
I want to take that away. I want to take that away. I know. So that way you can be here.
I know. No, but I think it made me who I am. So I think
that is true.
Like, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I would have been like a spoiled kid, because I was really spoiled, but you really couldn't tell because I had that behind me to kind of be like, yeah, you're still a faggot. But no. But this is the part of the episode where we do Don't Piss Me Off, where we talk about things that either piss us off about the topic that we're talking about today, or in society. But yeah, Jake, what you want to go first?
Yes, let me put down my Capri Sun that I had when I was growing up. Here is my Don't Piss Me Off. And also, caveat, like, I'm coming from a healthcare background, and like, I know there are specific things going on in our world. I'm not saying that those are not wrong, but my Don't Piss Me Off is really like, if a child wants to eat what it wants to eat, let them eat what they want. Mm-hmm. Don't fat shame them, essentially. Oh. And it's not necessary. Sometimes it's so subtle. Yeah. Actually, a lot of the times it's so subtle. Yeah. That I don't think people realize like what they're doing, but like let them have their 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches if they want, and don't say anything.
I think people also don't realize that kids really listen at a very young age. Yes, kids are listening. Like, when I hear people talk in front of kids, I'm like, you realize they're hearing you, right?
Right. They're sponges. Right. They really absorb everything. Everybody knows that. Yeah. But I think also like the subtleness that you think you're hiding behind is not that subtle for children.
Yeah, and they're reacting to your reaction. So if they see the look in your face when you're saying those things, or the tone of your voice when you're saying those things, they're listening to that, and they're taking it in, and they don't have the emotional capacity yet to identify what to really take to heart and what not. So it's just that's a really interesting thing.
Like, of course, I'm not telling people to like have them eat McDonald's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Right. Absolutely not. But like, it's just like more of the little things of like just letting them be kids, really. And like, if they want to have, specific more than what you think is normal, or if they want to have what you think is like an adult meal, let them have it. Like, don't be wasteful, but also like just let them have it.
Yeah, stop fat shaming kids. That's really interesting. That's a great point. That's a great way to put it. But for me, it's specific to this topic, like, don't piss me off. Like, stop putting kids in a box and stop identifying kids as gay when they're like 4 or 5 years old. Like and everybody does it. Gay people do it. Straight people do it. Like, everybody does it, where they're looking at a kid and they're like, oh, he's a little bit more feminine, or, he's playing with dolls. Right. And they're like, oh, he's going to be gay when he grows up. That actually might be the case, but stop putting that label on kids. Like, it just drives me crazy. I think about it and I'm like, this can't be real life. Like, why are you talking about a kid this way? This kid is 5 or 6 and why are you laughing?
Because it's so true.
It happens everywhere.
A lot. And I will absolutely own it. Like, I am guilty of doing this too. Hands down.
Right.
And there are people around us also that do it. But I think it also never comes from it's never from a bad place. And I that's very true. But you're right.
It never comes from a bad place. But for me, I'm like, and not that they say that they're doing it in front of them, but when you do that, you're doing almost what we're telling you not to do, about what kids understanding those moments and really understanding what that could do to them. And that might actually just like put them more in the closet if that's who they decide to become. Right. But for me, it's like the best thing you can do for kids is just make them feel safe. Make them feel safe, provide them a safe space, and then provide the environment for them that if one day they do want to come out to you, that they feel safe doing so. Because I think that happens all the time where we're talking about these things and it's not like, oh, no one knew. Like, no, you were talking about these topics the entire time. But, you weren't prepared when you saw. That's what you can use your early signs for. Your early signs of seeing if a kid's going to be gay or not, use that to build a safe environment for them.
Yes. That's actually absolutely true. Like, building that safe environment.
Yeah.
Being the adult that like is like, yes.
Yeah.
You go on. Right. Paint your nails. Play with the Barbie. Like, whatever you want. Like, you're safe. Knowing that they're safe wherever they are.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning into this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Next week, we're diving into the role our families have played in our lives. The good, the complicated, and everything in between. Here's a sneak peek. Because when you're in your darkest moment and you have your family there that's protecting you, when I had my brother there protecting you, you feel like you can fucking do anything. Now that's just a glimpse of what's coming. We'll see you next week for the full conversation. Have a great week.